Well, hello. Your football weekend officially kicking off now. It is Leprechaun Lunch. Brought to you by State Farm agent Tim Grell. For all of your insurance and financial needs, give Tim's agency a call at 574-232-9981. Nothing quite like having Purdue come to town to turn the season around again, right? Hi to everybody, by the way, watching on YouTube. Hint. YouTube.com/@sportsradio WSBT. The place to go for that. Purdue Purdue helping Notre Dame turn things around, just kind of a running theme, right? Like we could just write that in. Like forget USC, get Purdue on the schedule every year. That'll put butts in the seats. Anyway, just look to the Boilers. Whenever things are crappy in Irish land, in Irish Nation, just look to the Boilers. Chances are they're crap and they're a perfect patsy to right the ship, okay? Just, so 2/3 of the way there at least. Got 2/3 of it turned around last week. And it was the 2/3 that didn't, after thinking about it for a little bit, didn't, like, it wasn't a huge concern. So, of course, I speak of the defense being that, remaining third, The offense is averaging 40 points a game. 40 points a game, 426 yards, total yards a game. Running game looking like the Miami game was more like the Hurricanes just really studying up. Still, I think they abandoned the run game a little bit too soon, and Notre Dame did. I think they abandoned the run game far too early, but Miami's got a really good defense. That's a good team. It was better against A&M, unstoppable against Purdue. So, the old two-headed monster, excuse me a sec. Nothing quite like a professional getting choked up for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Fall allergies stink, by the way. Just letting that be known. Fall allergies, if you have them, my heart goes out to you. Anyway, the two-headed monster of Love and Price, pretty much back to normal, right? We can all agree on that. Averaging 161 yards a game. 161. And that's with the crap burger that was served up against Miami. Special teams humming along too. Jadarian Price, that the special teams is always going to look good when you have a 100-yard kickoff on the tally for a day. That's always going to look good. It's awesome. It's awesome that it's there. I'm not complaining about it. But yeah, like more of those, quite honestly. More of those, please. I like a good kick return. I like a good punt return. And considering how, you got to give your props to special teams as well last week, not just for that kickoff return, but also, Noah Burnett got hurt, didn't play last week. He's probable this week. But Eric Schmidt more than covered. Perfect on extra points. 8 of his 9 kickoffs went for touchbacks. Enough to make me, kind of look the other way on the missed field goal and the kickoff that went out of bounds. Just gonna flush those out. Flush them out. And then we come back to the ever-present theme of the season so far. The defense. Look, I know Notre Dame won by 26 points. All right. They gave up 30 to Purdue. 30 to Purdue. Yes, Purdue has more talent than they did last year. In fact, a whole new roster and a whole new coaching staff. But it's still a Purdue team that was picked to come in 18th in the Big Ten. And even if the Big Ten didn't have 18 teams in it, it might have been picked to come in 18th in the Big Ten. By the way, the Al Golden kidnapping offer continues to go unanswered. So, whatever. Leonard Moore didn't play last week. That's always going to make things look not quite as good. Questionable this week with a right ankle injury. Devontae Smith, though, probable this week. Big part of your secondary there. Still replaceable though. If there's a standard that Benjamin Morrison and Leonard Moore set over the last couple of years, it's, hey, next guy up, you might be an All-American if you work hard enough. Because that's pretty much what's happened. But I don't trust it this year. I don't know why. Oh, right, because big plays. And we'll get to big plays, by the way, in a minute. But the depth should fix things. You've got a more than able secondary coach, all right? Mike Mickens knows what he's doing on that front, all right? We will miss him when he's gone because eventually he's going to be a head coach somewhere. But still has a little bit of work cut out for him. Marcus Freeman's still standing behind Chris Ash, too, and says that it's the execution that's the problem, which, not going to lie, when you look at things, well, I'll just let Marcus defend it here. By the way, that Monday press conference, that was one of the more lively that I've seen. That was a good watch. That was a real good watch. Like that answer, like that just seemed very stream of consciousness right there. You know? So yeah, good watch. Good watch. I don't need them all to be, I like some of them, it's fine if it's just, hey, here's what happened, I'll take your questions, 10 minutes, we're in, we're out, good night. But this past one, I think, was a half hour. Which, by the way, we put a link on the webpage. We stream Marcus Freeman's Monday press conference right there. Sports Radio, WSBT.com. Happens Mondays at 12:30. But seriously, like last Monday, I was just there, big bowl of popcorn, just like, wow, this is good. This is good. Anyway, bringing up the big plays. It kind of makes me wonder if the number of big plays that the Irish have given up so far is kind of the main cause of, all the panic that is kind of set in as far as, playoff possibility, what's the season going to look like, all that stuff. The Chris Ash has to go. Let's go kidnap Al Golden, bring him back. All that talk, The Irish have given up 13 plays this season of 20 yards or more. In case you were wondering, it was 4 by this time last year. So they were averaging one big play per game, like surrendering one big play per game. And that's pretty normal if you look at college football. That's pretty normal. But I decided to do a little digging. And anybody with like ADHD or some level of OCD, you're going to appreciate this, I think. All right? It's a little inside baseball. But I'm going to talk about it, okay? So before every game, Notre Dame's football PR staff sends out game notes, right? Updated every week. They look great. They're a bunch of little tidbits in there. Like I'm not saying that every single one of these is a steak. But if you like pigs and blankets, there's pretty good quality here. Like the all beef kind of pigs in blankets, It's a good read for us, in the press box. It's a good read. So in the packet this week, there's a whole page dedicated to 20 plus yard plays. It's got all of them. Notre Dame's big plays, which there are 18, by the way, so hurrah. 13 for the opponents. So I was looking up that little nugget of how many big plays the Irish had given up through 3 games last year, right? So I decided to go dig into the archives, which are very nicely maintained, by the way. So I'd dig into the archives, go through those game notes packages, and go to the one sent out before the Miami, Ohio game last year, right? What do you know? There wasn't a page dedicated to 20 plus yard plays in that one. Shocking, I know. So I looked into each packet last year, just looking for that page. All right. Nothing. Didn't have, one, maybe it showed up in like in like the defensive stats or something like that. But this week's had a dedicated page to it. All right. All the ones last year didn't have this dedicated page. Looked at the end of the season notes. Not in there. It's not there either. So, I'm not going to speak for football PR here, but it does seem a little, what's the word I want to use here? Problematic. Is that the word that I want to use here? To me, it seems a little problematic that football PR thinks that people in the media might need that tidbit in an easy to find place, right? Which, by the way, good work, football PR people. Good work. Like, just, now we've got to put that page in there because who knows how many more big, 20-yard plus plays we're going to be giving up here. But seriously, good work. Like that's the sort of thing that puts a smile on my face anyway, and hopefully on the face of someone like me, which I hope to God that you're nothing like me, but who looks up that sort of thing. Not the number of 20 plus yard plays or a list of them, by yardage, how big, how long those 20 plus yard plays were. But just the fact that it got its own dedicated page in the game notes. Like this week they had to go, I guess I gotta add this page to, oh God. I found that really amusing. Like that was just a little cherry on the dessert that has been the afterglow of the win over Purdue. So hopefully going to have a little bit of an afterglow after tomorrow. Hopefully. I've realized when the game goes well, ND overtime goes not just well but quick. Quick, please. let my day end a little sooner, please. So, but yeah, that I enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So stop with the big plays already. Give the folks in football PR a little bit of a break so that they don't have to look, constantly add to that stuff. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now. Coming up, got some picks. Doing okay as far as the picks go. Doing okay. It's not amazing, but we're at least turning a profit. It's really all we can ask for at this point. I would like to meet the person who said, I want perfection. I would tell those people, you ain't getting it here. That is coming up. Leprechaun Lunch, Sports Radio, WSBT. Is it too early to call it pregame coverage? Hell with it. I'm doing it anyway. Pregame coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your postgame headquarters for blue and gold football. It's Leprechaun lunch, kicking off your Friday weekend. A loaded day, loaded weekend, really, of football. Coming up tomorrow, game day starting at 8 a.m., both on Sunny 101.5 and Sports Radio WSBT. We'll have former wide receiver Michael Floyd, former offensive guard Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart's one of those smart guys. He's like a lawyer. Also, Football Stratego. We'll have, last week and this week as far as music goes and all that stuff. And then network takes over. Notre Dame Radio Network has the presentation of the game starting at 11. And then after the game, around 4, maybe, when the network finally signs off, got ND overtime. I'll have that for you as well. We'll just do a quick little, trip through everything that happened during the game. And also bring you like the post-game audio that you want to hear. So that is all tomorrow. Sunday, we got a lot of stuff. We got tons of NFL pretty much all day on Sunday. Minnesota and Pittsburgh from Dublin, giving you some football brunching time. 9:15 start. You know what? 9:15 in the morning. That's still straight up breakfast. All right, we're not the brunch yet at 9:15 in the morning. But hey, football breakfast, never a bad thing. The Colts are at the Rams tomorrow. Coverage here starts on 960 WSBT at 3 p.m. After that, we'll have Sunday Night Football between Green Bay and Dallas. Probably catch in some point second quarter, hopefully. And then Monday Night Football, there's 2 games. We are mercifully going to have the one that's going to be at least somewhat interesting, as opposed to the Jets in Miami, which, wow, that, yikes. A hell of a football weekend for you. All right. Getting to the picks. I'm not doing too bad as far as my top 25 picks. I'm 26-20 on the year. Not great, but again, like I said, turning a profit a little bit, okay? 9-6 last week. It was that week 3 that really kind of screwed me. Not gonna lie. It was not nice. Couple of games tonight in the top 25. One of them involving number 8 Florida State. They're going to be at Virginia starting at 7:00 on ESPN. This is the best Virginia has looked under Coach Tony Elliott. The best. All right. Sure. Him getting that 4th season came in a little bit as a surprise. His first 3 seasons, he's got 11-23. And that was a bad-looking 11-23 even. Unprepared, undisciplined. Chandler Morris, their quarterback, decent set of weapons. That's a potent offense, but they've beaten 3 weak opponents, all right? They crumbled the first time they faced any sort of adversity, blowing a double-digit lead against NC State. Again, why did Tony Elliott get in here? Why did that happen? Barring a major letdown ahead of its date with rival Miami, Florida State probably going to ward off an early surge from the home team. They're just a 6.5-point favorite. They're going to clear that by leaps and bounds, I think. So let's do Florida State and the points on that. All right. Okay. Also got TCU at Arizona State. TCU's number 24 in the country. Going to Arizona State. Arizona State's favored by 3.5. I like, night game, home field for Arizona State. I think it works out for them. So Arizona and the State. Arizona State and the points. Tonight at 9 o'clock, that's on Fox. The game that everybody around here cares about tomorrow, number 22 Notre Dame at Arkansas with a noon kickoff. We've already covered how rough the defense has been. But so is Arkansas. But the fact that both of them are kind of in the same neighborhood is kind of a little disconcerting. Like that's not good. Still, Notre Dame's defense, they're starting to get to the quarterback. They're starting to create turnovers. Those things are improving, which makes me optimistic for a turnaround. And I'm not sure I have that with Arkansas's defense. I'm not sure I have that with Arkansas in general. Like poor Sam Pittman, not going to meet a happy end there in Fayetteville. Plus Notre Dame, that whole backs against the wall thing, that's how they like it. So Notre Dame and the points. Notre Dame a 4.5-point favorite on that. Like I said, noon kick. Our coverage starts at 8 tomorrow morning with game day. Another game that people care about around here, number 11 Indiana is at Iowa. It's Indiana's first time on the road this season. They're an 8.5-point favorite, but I think Iowa always has that good defense. And they always seem to turn up at home too. So I think something just says Iowa's going to keep it within that 8.5 tomorrow. So there's your guidance on that. That's 3:30 on the Peacock. Number 16, Georgia Tech is at Wake Forest. Upset alert there. Upset alert. Wake Forest straight up. I had to pick I felt like I had to pick a game for an upset, and I figured, you know what, that's probably going to be the easiest one. Noon kick on ESPN. Some solid matchups this week, by the way. Some good 25-on-25 matchups this week. Number 21 USC is at number 23 Illinois. Throw out the 63 points that Illinois gave up last week. All right. I'm willing to call that a fluke if it doesn't happen again. All right. So dating back to last season, USC home games are averaging more than 67 points. Well, Jim, you just said that it's in Champaign, right? On the road, USC's average is 46. Aha. Playing those home and road splits. Plus, Illinois is going to want to come back. They're going to want to say, "Hey, we're not like the FCS teams that Indiana has played this season. We're good though, Like Illinois wants to get back up from 23. Like they probably want to get back up into the top 10. Hopefully, that should be the goal. 60.5 is the point total on this. I'm thinking that this goes under. So I think Illinois can definitely hang with USC as far as points go on that front. So that's the big noon kickoff on Fox. A little bit later on, at 12:45 on the SEC network, you've got Utah State at number 18 Vanderbilt. Clark Lee doing some business down in Nashville. Utah State brought over New Mexico's head coach and their defensive coordinator from last season. And New Mexico's defense ranked 130th in the country in points allowed. That had to be a package deal. Like they didn't, like the head coach was probably like, "Hey, Can I bring my guy? And Utah State probably went, you know what? We haven't looked at any numbers. Go ahead. Why would we want to do research? Utah State has struggled on defense. Struggled on defense last season as well. They look a little improved. They still got a lot of work to do. All right. Vandy, meantime, if you have been watching some Vanderbilt football, kind of a bad week to do so. Maybe TiVo this one. You know, watch for a quarter. Diego Pavia likes to roll. That offense is averaging 47.5 points per game. That's a fun team to watch, man. They look legit too. Look real legit. Like I'm not saying national championship or anything, but they're playoff? College football playoff, maybe? Maybe. So, Vandy averaging 47.5 points. 20% chance of scoring a defensive touchdown somewhere in there as well. I like Vandy with a team total going over 41.5 points. All right, that's just Vanderbilt points. 41.5. Take the over on that. All right. At 3:30, number 1 Ohio State. They're at Washington. They're a 7.5 point favorite. Washington is 3-0 with 2 covers this season in 3 practice games. Colorado State, UC Davis, at Washington State. Getting a little bit more credit than they probably deserve for their early play. Probably their one big moment for them to excel in Big Ten football. Because they failed every other big chance since coming into the league last year. Ugh. You know, Washington football. They only bring back 4 offensive starters from last year. That was roughed up at Oregon, at Penn State, at Indiana, at Iowa, and at Rutgers in a 6-7 season. And now you're going to tell me that they're going to give the national champs a tough game? Ride that 7.5 points. OH, yada, yada. Here's another one of those good 25 versus 25 matchups. 3:30 on ABC. After you get done watching Notre Dame beat Arkansas, right? Number 4 LSU is at number 13 Ole Miss. Did you see online that that LSU's linebacker, forget the Whit Weeks, is dating Lane Kiffin's daughter? So Lane Kiffin, working social media like he does, replied to somebody, sending him that picture of the happy couple. 3 words: take the over. I like Lane. I like Lane a lot. He's perfect in this role. He's perfect at Ole Miss. Perfect. This is going to be a big test for their defense. But I think LSU's offensive problems this season is going to help out Ole Miss pretty well. LSU's offense struggled in all 3 FBS games so far this season. Wins over Clemson and Florida no longer carrying as much weight. Both of those teams at 1-3. Trinidad Chambliss gives Ole Miss a slightly better edge of winning than Austin Simmons due to his dual threat ability. Ole Miss straight up. Ole Miss in the points. If you want to take the over, I didn't bother to write that down, so I'm looking it up real quick. Let's see, 3:30, 57.5. Yeah, take the over on that too. Follow what Coach Kiffin said there. Let's see. Auburn is at number 9 Texas A&M, 3:30 on ESPN. Texas A&M has added some explosiveness. We know that. But his defense gives up some yards, right? I mean, they still did give up 40 to Notre Dame, right? Kind of a bend but don't break type thing. I'd categorize Auburn as a team that's capable. I mean, they just fell out of the rankings, coming into this week. But they were ranked at, the bottom part of the poll. Maybe they can hang in a shootout. Maybe they're willing to do that. Like Auburn's got some offense. A&M we know has some offense. 52.5 seems a little low. I'm just saying. Number 15, Tennessee, is a 7.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. That's 4:15 on the SEC network. They were originally a 26-point favorite in this game. What the hell happened? Mississippi State, apparently. They're 4-0. But the Vols at just 7.5? Really? Like, the win over a Scatabo-less Arizona State team early in the season, not really impressing me. Although, Tennessee on Tennessee on defense, no. But Joey Aguilar, what he's done on offense, he alone should be able to cover that 7.5. So, at 7 o'clock on ESPN, you got Arizona at number 14, Iowa State. Arizona 3-0 straight up and against the spread. Playing some really good defense. And staying under in all three games. So keep that in the back of your mind for later. A little bit of a surge in opinion on Arizona after they beat Kansas State 23-17 while getting 1.5. Before we start, crowding their ass, as Denny Green would say. Understand that all three of their games have been at home. The other two teams against Weber State and Hawaii. Not exactly a murderer's row. Iowa State also beat K-State, and they beat Iowa, South Dakota, and Arkansas State. They're at home in this game against Arizona. We find out, who Arizona is on the road, much like we find out how, who Indiana is on the road. Iowa State should be at least, that should be a 10-point favorite for Iowa State. I think they win by more than 10, but take the points. It's 5.5 on that spread. Got a couple of really good games. Like, if you got picture-in-picture capabilities, or you can do a split screen, make your own red zone, this tomorrow night may be the night to do it. One of those nights where I'm happy that, I got to be here at 8 a.m., but I mean, I get to watch, I get to turn on these two games. Number 6, Oregon at number 3, Penn State, 7:30 on NBC and Peacock. Oregon 4-0 on the season. They missed covering 2 games just barely. Penn State coming in at 3-0. They haven't covered any game, and they've all been at home. That's why that spread of 3.5 is so low against Oregon. But Oregon only returned 7 starters from last year's team. Only 2 of them returned on offense, including a new quarterback. Penn State returns 15 starters from last year, 7 of them on offense, including Drew Allar, 4 of his 5 starters on the offensive line. You still got Nick Singleton back there. I mean, yeah. Penn State gets at least 5.5 for home field alone. So they're saying Oregon is, -3 on a neutral field, man. My bet going to be on the quarterback. My money is on Penn State at home. And I think James Franklin is a fraud, but, this is more of a Drew Allar win, okay? Against that, you've got number 17 Alabama at number 5 Georgia on ABC at 7:30. Hot damn. The Bulldogs overcame quite a bit of adversity to notch their first road win against notch their road win anyway against Tennessee. Kind of expect that kind of performance to really galvanize them, bring them together. Crimson Tide have recovered nicely. All right, remember when we were all writing off Alabama after they lost that badly to Florida State? Well, I mean, yeah, Florida State looks pretty good, but let's not discount Alabama here either. All right? It's just the fact that, there's a widespread belief that Kalen DeBoer might not have the full respect of his player. That's kind of a thing. But I like the Bulldogs here to avenge last year's loss. Their epic comeback fell just short against the Tide last year. Just short. So that's Under the Lights too. Under the Lights Between the Hedges, 7:30 ABC. That's a good one. UMass is at number 20, Missouri. Remember this game last year? And how much of an abomination it was? Mizzou scored 45 on the road at UMass last season. So UMass allowed 47 to Iowa. 47 points to Iowa. 42 to Temple. Missouri's going to roll. So we're going to play total team points again here. We're going to take the over on 50.5 total points for number 20 Missouri against UMass. That's just Missouri points, by the way. Their backup's probably going to put in some points as well. And then the last game on the top 25 agenda, number 25 BYU is at Colorado. That's a 10:15 on ESPN. Buffs looks, they look solid over Wyoming. Still a team that leaves a lot to be desired, though. No offensive identity whatsoever. Keon Salter going to have to play out of his mind just to keep this one within a touchdown, really. They're not hanging with BYU. They're just not. So, double-digit road win for the Cougars on a Saturday night. They're covering that 6.5-point spread. So, I like that. Like I said, 26-20 on the year. So we're in the green. And hopefully you'll be in the green too. With my advice. Just advice. Alrighty. Wrapping things up on Leprechaun lunch. I'm gonna bunch it all in as far as pregame coverage goes. I'm just bunching it all in. Pregame coverage as well as postgame coverage. Presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your postgame headquarters for blue and gold football. Things also brought to you by State Farm Insurance, Tim Grell. State Farm agent Tim Grell. Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? For all of your insurance and financial needs, give Tim's agency a call at 574-232-9981. Like I said, game day tomorrow, 8 a.m. start. It's early. I'll have probably some giant-sized coffee with me. So we'll be streaming it on the YouTube as well. So if fun. Michael Floyd, Chris Stewart going to be joining us. Football Stratego last week, this week. So good times. NFL. Lots of NFL action this weekend here on the station. Anyway. Minnesota versus Pittsburgh in Dublin on Sunday morning at 9:15. You got the Colts at the Rams starting at 3. Green Bay and Dallas. Going to be a good Sunday night game, I think. At least for Micah Parsons. That's going to join that in progress after the Colts and Rams. And then we got Cincinnati at Denver on Monday Night Football starting at 7 o'clock Monday night. Some picks of local interest anyway, and one of my own, quite honestly. Cleveland at Detroit. Lions have been on fire the last 2 weeks. I don't see that stopping with Cleveland. 9.5 is granted a huge number to cover, but the Browns don't profile as a storm through the backdoor team. Detroit saw what Cleveland did to Green Bay last week, and while they appreciate the Browns opening up the division again, they're not going to do the favor and take their foot off the gas in this spot. That's just not happening. So, if you want to follow that game, you can hear it up in Southwest Michigan on our sister station, 94.9 WSJM. The Chargers at the Giants. The Chargers get to open up the Jackson Dart era. So I am avoiding Jackson Dart numbers at all costs. Instead, going to look at Omarion Hampton. His numbers may not jump off the page. They may not look, overly impressive. But with Najee Harris sidelined for the season, he's going to pick up a pretty significant workload. Hampton gets to face a Giants defense that's 32 in defensive rushing DVOA, 30th in EPA allowed per rush. Couple that in with the Chargers checking in as 6.5-point favorites. Yeah. Game one of the Jackson Dart era. I mean, as a Giants fan, awesome. It should have happened week 1, quite honestly. But ain't gonna. Colts out west in Los Angeles playing the Rams. 4:05 kick. That game going to be on Fox. You can also hear it here on Sports Radio WSBT starting at 3 on Sunday. Rams were destroyed by Saquon Barkley last year twice. Got their revenge last week a little bit. They didn't win, but they held Saquon to 46 yards on 18 carries. That's an improvement. Just run that same plan again this week. Just rewind. Make Daniel Jones beat you. Jonathan Taylor coming off a couple of huge games, too. 102.2 yards per game average, too, making him tough to fade in any given week. But let's play the under. Let's play the under on Jonathan Taylor's total rushing yards at 87.5. I don't think he gets to 87.5 against that Rams defense. I don't see that happening. Especially with how well the Rams defense is playing. Good Lord. Last week notwithstanding as far as points go, they still showed that they can hang in Philly. Got the Bears at the Raiders, 4:25 game on CBS. I think we're missing out on something bigger, right? what's the other 425 CBS game? Oh yeah, Baltimore, Kansas City. Look for Ashton Genty to get an anytime touchdown here. He hasn't gotten going yet. You figure he's got to at some point, right? He has to. At least the Raiders are certainly hoping so. Man, that's a tall ask right there. Anyway, see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Game day.